There's a mountain in Australia that if you go to visit as a tourist, you will find the following sign at the base of. We, the Anangu traditional owners, that is indigenous people in this part of Australia, have this to say. Uluru, that is the mountain, is sacred in our culture. It is a place of great knowledge. Under our traditional law, climbing is not permitted. This is our home. As custodians, we are responsible for your safety and behavior. Too many people do not listen to our message. Please don't climb. We invite you to walk around the base and discover a deeper understanding of this place. So basically expressing that it's a religious taboo, that there's a law against climbing according to the traditions of this people, the Anangu. And if you go to this mountain, this is what you may see. You see the people climbing the mountain because there at least, I should qualify, this is what you would have seen if you went prior to a particular date in 2019. So the law has since been changed, but in Australia for some period of time, there was no Australian law that prohibited climbing. So there was a kind of request that climbers not climb in accordance with traditional practices and the traditional law of the indigenous people, but there was no official law or enforcement to keep people from climbing, and so a lot of people would climb. Kyle Whyte's Indigenous Experience, Environmental Justice, and Settler Colonialism is interested in cases like this because these are instances of a particular kind of environmental injustice. And Whyte says his aim is to expand environmental justice theory to include cases like this. And in order to do that, he needs to expand the theory to include experiential dimensions of environmental injustice. That is the way that environmental injustice can affect or can harm or can somehow operate at the level of people's experience. And also he needs to bring in the concept of settler colonialism, which I'll define in a moment, but it's basically the idea, it's basically the kind of colonialism, the kind of domination of one people by another people, where the dominating people try to make the land of the dominated people their own home. That is, they settle in the homeland of another people and want to make that their own home, rather than, like, say, extracting resources and taking them back to the colonialist original home, as happened to a great extent in Africa, for instance. You know, resources, rare metals, and even people were extracted, but there continued to be, I mean, at least a lot of colonialists retained their kind of their home in their home countries. That's different now different in places like Algeria or Morocco. There was some settler colonialism in South Africa. There was some settler colonialism in Africa as well, and perhaps arguably continues to be. But this case of settler, or this kind of settler colonialism that Kyle Whyte is talking about, is also exemplified in the United States and in Australia.